Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Crystal and welcome to my July reading wrap up. I'm actually very proud of myself, guys, because I read 12 books this month. I read 12 books in the month of July. In case you're into reading stats like I am, I read 6 romance novels, I read 3 mystery thrillers, and I read 3 fantasy books for this month. First up that I read was Never Lie by Frida McFadden. This is not the first book that I read from her. The first book that I read was actually The Housemaid, and I ended up reading the whole Housemaid series, and I really enjoyed those. Just a brief summary of this one. This follows newlyweds Trisha and Ethan. They are looking for their first home, and they're out house hunting. This is where it gets kind of creepy. They're deciding to go look at a house at nighttime during a snowstorm. They're trying to meet with their realtor. They get there to the house, they get snowed in, and the realtor is not there. They end up finding out the history of the house is a psychiatrist that used to own the home that ended up disappearing for years before they came to look at the house. And the wife, Trisha, ends up discovering all of the audio transcripts from the doctor talking to all of her patients. And slowly, as Trisha begins playing all these tapes, she ends up trying to find out or discover the mystery of what happened to Dr. Adrian Hale. And Frida McFadden's writing is good as usual in terms of she just writes really fast-paced books. It was just the plot twist at the end literally made no sense. It just felt like completely random. I still will read more of her books. If she comes out with any more thrillers, I'm still gonna pick them up. It's just this one, I was let down. 3 stars. Okay, the next 3 romance novels that I read are from the Queen, Abby Jimenez. First one that I read is following Alexis and Daniel in Part of Your World, and it is definitely a city girl meets country boy trope. Daniel is just a really nice, sweet, down-to-earth guy. He's a carpenter. He lives in that small town. You got that small town trope where there's the found family. Alexis, she comes from a family with a lot of money. She's an ER doctor, but she comes from a family legacy of world-renowned surgeons. Her parents put a lot of pressure on her. They want her to continue her education and pursue being a surgeon as well, when she's perfectly fine and perfectly happy just being an ER doctor. We kind of struggle with, especially more so Alexis, she struggles with, can we be a part of each other's world? Basically. I gave this one 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. Definitely recommend it. 5 stars. Okay, so the next one is Yours Truly. And honestly, I'm just gonna say it right now. This one is my favorite one out of all of her books. I loved this one so much. I don't think I even spoke to anyone the day that I was reading this because I don't think I ate anything. I don't think I spoke to anyone. I just had to plow through this book because it was so good. The way that anxiety is depicted in this one, I thought that was refreshing that they had the male main character be the one with anxiety. I literally couldn't relate to a book more. Right from the start, I absolutely loved it. There are just so many cute parts of this book. They write each other letters, which should be enough said. They write each other letters. Brief description of it. It's following Brianna and Jacob. They are both ER doctors. Jacob gets transferred to Brianna's hospital, and that's how they end up meeting. He's running away from something. She also is dealing with her own issues. She's going through a divorce. Her brother is suffering from some health issues. He needs a kidney ASAP. So she just got a lot on her plate. She's got a lot that she's stressed out about, and just the way that they end up meeting and communicating and just everything is just so amazing in this book. Highly recommend it. Obviously, this is 5 stars. This is one of the romance books that I felt as soon as I finished reading it that I could reread it. So obviously that tells you something. Last of hers, and certainly not least, it's Just for the Summer. And this one is her most recent book that she just came out with. And if I didn't say this already, I feel like her covers are so cute. This one is following Emma and Justin. Emma is a traveling nurse. Her and her best friend, they're traveling nurses together for years, and they never really have to get bored because they're always getting to discover, they get to just pick whatever city they want to travel to next. Justin, I forget what they said his job was. Anyway, he works from home, and it's funny the way they end up meeting is because both Emma and Justin feel like they're cursed. They feel like whoever they date ends up finding the love of their life after. When Emma and Justin meet, they figure that if the 2 of them date, they'll cancel their curses out and then end up finding the loves of their life. Justin has a lot on his plate. He has a lot he has to deal with. Something ends up happening where he has to take temporary custody of his 3 siblings, younger siblings. It ends up being a lot. A lot is happening in this book. Emma's dealing with a lot. She's dealing with a lot of drama with her mother, and just a lot ends up getting loaded on her with her family. I gave this one 5 stars as well. Love Justin. Emma was a great character as well, and highly recommend this one. Love these so much. Recommend all three. These are great summer books. Amazing. So pick them up if you didn't already read these. Next book that I read was This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. I've read 2 of Carly Fortune's books before. I read Every Summer After and Meet Me at the Lake. I really enjoyed Every Summer After. Meet Me at the Lake, I'm gonna be honest, not so much. This one, I believe, was a 2-star. It was really tough to get through that one. This one, I ended up rating a 4-star. It follows Lucy and Felix, takes place on Prince Edward Island. I feel like that Carly did a really good job at making you feel like you were really there and you could picture everything. Her descriptions of Prince Edward Island make it sound like it's really amazing and a great place to visit. The only things really worth noting in this one is that Lucy's best friend Bridget told her, listen, don't fall in love with my brother. So after Lucy finds out who Bridget's brother is and realized after the fact that she had already hooked up with him, she just spends every summer basically trying to avoid him and trying not to hook up with him again. There's a lot of spice in this one. It's worth mentioning. That's about it. There's not really much else to say. It's just a quick and easy summer read. That's what you're looking for. Pick it up. Next one I picked up was a Book of the Month book, Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth. This one I saw floating around a lot before I decided to pick this one up. This one, I think the cover got me. It just definitely gives summer vibes with the pool. To be honest, I was expecting it to be a little bit more thriller than it was. It was definitely just a straight up mystery. This was not thrilling whatsoever. It follows 3 girls. You get all 3 of their point of views throughout the story. And then you also get one more point of view, like a mystery point of view that you don't find out until the end who it is. This one's following 3 foster girls, end up in a foster home together, and they're raised by someone named Miss Fairchild. Check the trigger warnings for this one because they did not get treated very well, and it was sometimes hard to read. After they end up getting out of that foster home that they were raised in, they find out present day that there are human remains that were underneath the house. And it just goes from there. I would recommend it. I think that if that sounds interesting to you, you should pick it up and give it a try, but it is not thrilling. So read it at your own risk. The next book that I read is The Coworker by Frida McFadden. And I don't know what's happening, but this one was also a disappointment. And Never Lie was better than this one. This didn't even feel like Frida McFadden's writing. I don't know what happened. This was like basically a 2-star for me. Honestly, almost DNF'd it several times because it didn't even feel like Frida's writing. I was just like, what am I reading? The Coworker is about a coworker that goes missing. One girl that usually is always consistently showing up on time every single day in the office goes missing, and the other main character is trying to figure out what happened to her and why. It was a struggle to get through. I felt like I was bored several times, and honestly, I just pushed through. I'm sorry, I feel so bad saying that because I usually love her books, but this one was a complete flop for me. Better luck next time. Next book that I picked up is Done and Dusted by Lila Sage, and I ended up giving this one 3 stars. It does not mean that I didn't enjoy the book. I thought it was a really good book. I just, for some reason, did not feel that much of a connection or attachment to the characters. It was a very, very quick and easy read. It was fast-paced. Overall, I like Lila Sage's writing. So this book is following the 2 main characters, and we do get both of their points of view, which I really enjoy. I love getting the guy's perspective, but it's following Clementine, Emmy Ryder, and her name is Clementine, but they call her Emmy, and her last name is Ryder. And Luke is the other character. Now, this takes place in Wyoming, but if any of you are fans of Yellowstone or have seen the TV show Yellowstone, this book feels like Yellowstone. The descriptions of like the mountains and the ranch and all the animals and just like that farm cowboy lifestyle felt so much like Yellowstone, and Luke felt like Rip to me. I will say though, overall, I just did not feel that connection to the main characters that I was hoping to feel. And I feel like not a single person warned me about the spice that was going to be in this book. Okay. For most romance books, I don't mind spice. I don't mind any kind of like steamy scenes if they make sense. This book, I just did not enjoy the spice. I felt myself skimming over all of those scenes. It might be an unpopular opinion, I don't know, but the nickname for her in this book, Sugar? No, that doesn't do it for me. And I felt myself skipping over anytime he said that as well. I'm sorry. That gave me the ick. Other than that, I enjoyed the book. 3 stars. and I recommend it, but just wanted to make sure I warned everyone. There's a lot of spice in this book, and it's not my type of spice, but it might be yours. So just go in with that warning. Next, I read Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. This is my first book by Lynn Painter. I'm so glad that I finally decided to pick this one up and read it for the summertime. This was a really good book to read for the summer. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought this was so cute. I love how every chapter starts and gives like a shout out to a rom-com, a very popular rom-com, and then there's a quote from it. There were so many scenes where I was literally laughing out loud. This is one of those books, even though it's a young adult, anybody can read it. Doesn't have to just be young adult. I just thoroughly enjoyed this one. There's a little bit of fake dating in here and just a lot of fun stuff. There's just like a lot of funny laugh out loud parts to the book. Highly recommend it. 5 stars. I saved the best for last. I finally was brave enough after having this book for I don't know how long on my TBR, decided to read my first fantasy book, and I decided to pick up Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This book was absolutely amazing. Absolutely obsessed. This is definitely one of those books where as soon as I was done reading it, I felt like I could reread it. If it's not obvious, this is a 5 star. Just a very quick, brief description. This is following Paden and Kai. This one takes place in the kingdom of Ilia. Plague ends up sweeping through the kingdom, and a lot of people were killed through that. People that ended up surviving, the majority of them were gifted with these special abilities or powers. Whoever ended up possessing these powers or these special abilities, they were considered the elites, and the people that did not end up after the plague having any kind of special power or ability, they were considered the ordinaries. Anybody that was an ordinary had to die. Paden, unfortunately, didn't end up getting a special ability or a power after the plague. She is an ordinary, and she ends up being trained by her father to pose as a psychic. Unlucky for Paden, she ends up being a part of the purging trials. That's where it's similar to the Hunger Games. So much drama, so much action happening in this book. The banter, like everyone else says, is absolutely amazing. In between all the action, the romance hit so hard. I loved every bit of the romance. This was a big part of the story. So if you're someone that is just getting into fantasy and you want there to be a lot of romance in it, you want a romantasy, this was the perfect book to get started with. I can honestly say that Lauren Roberts is now one of my new favorite authors. Moving on, I read Powerful by Lauren Roberts as well. Now, this one is still in the same time that Powerless was taking place, but in Powerful, it's just a cute little short novella that we're getting Adina's point of view and her love interest. This one absolutely was a 5 star read for me. And again, it just solidified Lauren Roberts being one of my favorite authors because how she was able to make me fall in love with these 2 main characters. And yes, we get both point of views again from Adina and her love interest, Mac. She gave us just the right amount of backstory of the history of these 2 characters. If you've read Powerless, you already know what to expect in this one. How it ends for Adina. It was very, very sad when I tell you that this book destroyed me. This little novella, this little 200-page novella. It was written so well. Highly recommend this one. Just be prepared to cry. Be prepared to be heartbroken if you read this one. Love Lauren Roberts' writing. I think she's amazing. Last but certainly not least, I was so glad that I waited as long as I did to read Powerless because I got to just binge all 3 of these for the month of July. Reckless. I feel like I heard a lot of mixed reviews for this one. I felt like this was a really good breather from the first one, but still it was different enough and still interesting enough. I loved this one. This one's another 5 star for me. I couldn't wait to follow these characters again. This one, I feel like I can't say much about this because it would be so spoilery if I said anything if you haven't read the first one, but this one is more of like a cat and mouse. It still is following Paden and Kai. There's a lot of action, and I highly recommend this series. Even for people that have not read any fantasy yet, I think that this is a great place to start. Guys, that's all I have for you today. I felt like this was such a great reading month for me. I found a lot of really good 5 star reads. Favorite one being Powerless, and then my Abby Jimenez books. Those are some of my favorite books, and they probably will continue to be my favorite books. Even as I'm continuing to read more and more, I feel like these are going to stand out. This was such a great reading month. So As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Please give this video a like if you really enjoyed it. Comment down below if there were any of these books that you read that you enjoyed too, or just let me know what you read in the month of July. And I would just love to connect with all of you guys. So thank you so much for watching again, and I'll see you in my next video.